spray all that with net because it's so effective on old man's beard. And one pass you can take like dense areas of old man's beard like that. You can basically take it like that to grass.
We'll crank it to it, so I'm going to train you on how to control weeds. Yeah. So, does anybody know what that plant is? No. Pampas grass. Yeah. So you understand. Yeah. So Pampas grass is a South American weed. Yeah. Toitua is our New Zealand native. They look quite similar. Yeah. The biggest problem with weeds is they often do look like our natives, and people don't realise what they're capable of. Yeah. So so just quickly on Pampas, the head stands straight up in the air, right? And the leaf of a Pampas will rip as opposed to a New Zealand toy which won't when you go to rip the leaf. So that's how you tell the difference. So I'll just explain who I am. So I'm Ben Minehan. I've done 15 years in the biosecurity section of the council running the weeds team. I had enough of that after 15 years, so I decided to go and do something else. I actually went and worked as a loader driver for mobile helicopters for 2 years to learn all about, because I'm so passionate about weed control, about the aerial spraying side of weed control. And then, I've been a contractor since 2015. We set up Weed Solutions. So this is the non-PC version I can give you today, right? Talking does not control weeds. This is why we have such a big weed problem. Everyone's talking about it, but very few people are actually doing anything. So no one's got enough money generally, and it's easy to do nothing. But I'm going to train you how to actually do something. All right. The biggest thing with weeds, you've got to learn how to ID them. Yeah, I'll teach you how to do that. There's a lot of resources out there that are available to help you. And probably one of the key things, if I'm employing someone to do weed control, is you need to know the difference between a native and a weed, right? It might sound quite simple, but when we're on our hands and knees pushing through scrub at the Victoria Domain, you will have weeds and natives growing right next to each other. They look quite similar. So, it's quite an art form to learn the difference, right? You need to learn how to do it. You need to learn how to do it efficiently and effectively. And you also need to go back and look at what you've done. All right. Years ago, I used to go to work with people and they'd say, "Oh, we sprayed it, it'll die." And I'd say, "Well, are you sure?" Yeah. And often they weren't, we weren't using the right technique, and they weren't dying. Yeah. It's, you need to actually go back and look at what you've done to make sure that So ID, there's an excellent website. I know Carolyn Lewis well that set up the Weedbusters website. It's a fantastic resource, and it has all the information you could possibly need to learn how to ID different weeds. So, the Department of Conservation's got some great people on the ground that will help you to ID things, and if you take natives to them, if you're unsure whether it's a native or a weed, they'll help you with that. So there's some really good people, and the biosecurity section of the council's got some very good people too that will help you to learn. It's a huge field. I'm 50 now, and I can't believe how much I've learned in the last 20 or 30 years. But you're learning all the time. Like there's new weeds coming along, you're learning new native plants. So it makes it feel it's a lifetime of learning, really. So that's the Weedbusters website. So when you go into there, if you've got a particular weed and you're not sure what it is, you can click on find that weed and use the search, and it'll actually bring up, like different weeds for you to look at and ID it. Right. So that's how to use the search. If you think you've got periwinkle, you click on it, feed periwinkle. Fantastic images on there. It'll tell you how to control periwinkle. Really, really good website. Basic principles of weed control. You treat one weed at a time. In the army, that's called shoot to kill. All right, like we don't half do anything. You do one plant properly, and you kill one plant. You don't go through and cut 8 trees down and then walk back and treat the stumps. You cut one down, you treat the stump. Cut one down, you treat the stump. The reason being that by the time you've cut that 8, you'll go back and you'll only find 6, and those 2 will regrowth. Right, so you must kill every weed you treat. The slowest and most expensive technique can often produce the best result. I get farmers ask me all the time, what are you charging now? And I say to them, we're the slowest and we're the most expensive, but we kill everything we spray. That's quite different to a helicopter. They do it fast and they do it cheap, but a lot of what they spray won't die. All right, that's the difference. Yeah. Doing something slowly and properly can be more efficient than a fast technique. All right. This is a key thing. Be prepared to change your method if the result's not what you want. And that's something I've learned over the last 10 years of being a weed control contractor. Like, you go into jobs and it's often a mess, and people will say to you, how are you going to do it? And I'll go in using a technique, and then I'll trial it for a bit, and I'll actually go back and make sure it's successful. And sometimes I'll actually modify my technique before we do the bulk of the work. Yeah, because we're sort of, even the weed control contractors are learning all the time. So weed control techniques, there's a whole heap of them out there. I'll go through a few of them. Grubbing, very easy thing to carry. It's a great topic. Yeah, like, you can take it on a full drive and get yourself out of trouble. If weeds are small, does a great job. The best way to control weeds is get them on a small before they get big. All right, so that's every farmer used to have one once, but a lot of farmers wouldn't even know what it looked like now. Very useful tool. Pull the weeds out by the roots. Make sure you take the whole lot out. Don't walk through. And I've trained people, and they walk through and they just cut it off and keep walking. It doesn't work. They grow again. All right. You're dealing with a plant that was designed to survive. So make sure you take the whole root on out.
Yeah. The question I have with that is that in the process of doing that, you're disrupting the surface of the soil.
Yep.
Which means that it's more susceptible to having weed seeds land there and grow.
Yep. The best thing about chemicals is it's allowed us to take out what we don't want without breaking the soil. So that's a great question. So when you're grubbing, ideally you do it in a situation where there's not a lot of weeds. Yeah, because you're tuning the soil over. So the herbicides have allowed us to treat weeds without breaking that soil column, without cultivating the ground. So grubbing is a technique that you normally use for very scattered, low volume weeds. Cut stump, you'll hear people use these flash terms, but you can either use a handsaw or a chainsaw. And I'll take you through a couple of different techniques with me. So have you seen those?
Yeah, one Chris.
Yeah, so they're
What's that?
what's that?
You get a pulp from
Yeah, they're very, very good, aren't they? And somewhere here I've got a story. You'll be amazed how useful just a folding handsaw is. Really good tool. Yeah, so, strap that in. Yeah, so the biggest thing with cut stump is that you must cut a fell, you treat a shrub, apply a herbicide mix or a herbicide gel, but you need to do it straight after you cut it. That's why I say you don't cut 10 stems, because the tree will go into shutdown mode when you cut it off. Your window's very short for it to take the chemical in before it locks itself down. So you must treat it straight after you cut it. This is a dry bag, by the way. If you want to carry your chemical with you, you can put a dry bag inside a bag, and we do it quite a lot, and then you can carry, you might see a little 500 ml sprayer, mixed with herbicide. So you just spray the stump or your vigilant gel, which you wipe on. Right. These are very, very good. Yeah, but if you do ever end up with a leak, it's not down your back. Right, so that's cut stump. Drill and fill, boring and filling. A lot of people use cordless drill. Yeah, that's relatively new technology. You've got chainsaw boring, which I've done a lot of on willows, where we actually take the saw and actually bore into that tree, and I'll explain that in a minute. Filling with a small axe. You'll be amazed what you can kill with a small axe. And you carry a file with you. I've got one in the bag, but I often carry 2 axes, so I have one in my bag, one sharp, and at smoke at time you can sharpen one. So I'll take through filling in a minute, but when you're applying the herbicide, you never skimp on the product. Yeah, like when I take people out and I train them how to kill weeds, I say to them, I'll never complain about you using too much herbicide, but man, I'll complain if you don't use enough, because you may not get that kill. All right, you're better off to use the herbicide is the cheap part of the operation. The labour's the dear part. So, do you understand how how a tree grows. So a tree grows as a little seedling, and then as it grows, the growing tissue is on the outside of the tree, under the bark. All right, and I'll show you something here. It's I've actually got a stump, and you can have a look at it in a minute. So that was a willow that was cut 6 weeks ago, and you'll see that there's a little stem coming out of here. Yep. So we are applying the herbicide into the growing tissue, so the xylem, the roots. So you've got growing tissue called cambium layer on the outside of this here. Yep. That's on the outside of the trunk. Inside the tree is deadwood. That's what we make houses out of. But all the growing tissue is underneath the bark. And if you scrape the bark off of the neck, you'll see a soft, sticky layer in there. That's where you need to put herbicide to kill a tree. Right? So the xylem takes the water up to the leaves, and the phloem takes the nutrients as the sap flowing back down to the roots. Yeah, so xylem and phloem. So that's where you put the chemicals. So when you drill into the tree, you drill into that soft, sticky layer that's underneath the bark. That's where your herbicide goes. Don't put your drill or your chainsaw right into the tree. Because, it's all about the kill shot. That's where you put the herbicide. Make sense?
So how deep are you talking there? Like 5 centimeters?
Depends on the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to a tree and you're not sure, carefully take the bark off until you see that yellow sticky layer underneath the bark. That's the cambium layer. Right? Yeah, and they're all some those big old man pine trees have got bark that can be that thick. But so scrape out the bark and all of a sudden it'll get soft and sticky. Cambium layer.
Do you have to scrape the whole kind of a cycle like that on the stem or just
Yeah. So if you're doing pine trees, you can bore every 20 centimetres a hole around the tree. Yep. So if you've got a drill or a chainsaw, you can do it that way. If you're thrilling, I recommend that you put the cut all the way around the tree and a downward cut into that cambium layer. Yeah, right around the outside. Yeah, I've killed 56-year-old pine trees with an axe. Yeah, it's all about putting chemicals.
Ring barking, is that something?
Yeah, that's it. So ring barking can be hit and miss. If you've got the chemical in the frill, you'll kill everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're ring barking, you actually have to take the whole piece of cambium layer out. It's a much more comprehensive cut, especially with the chainsaw. With the axe, you're only putting a downward cut in to get the chemical into the cambium layer. Yeah.
No one's running for drill yet. Probably drilling too deep.
Yeah. Oh, look, 90% of people I've seen drill too deep.
Yeah.
And there's pine trees on the hill where I lease at home, and I've drilled it too deep, and the trees are still alive. They've burned all the outside foliage off, and they're still green on the inside because they've punched straight in like that. Yeah. Just not in the right place. Yes.
And how big should the hole be? If you just drill it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think that standard drill that's it's a 10 mil drill, but you can go 10 mil or 20 mil, depending on how big the trees are. To be honest, I don't do a lot of drilling. I use a chainsaw, and I bore them with a chainsaw because I like how to cut down other trees and then bore the big ones. Yeah, so that the drilling thing's something I haven't done much of. But I've done a lot of frilling. Yeah. The beauty of frilling is you can push through the bush and you can just have a backpack on with 2 axes in it and 5 more bottles. So, and it's just so much easier as if you're carrying a great big cordless drill with a lot of weight in it. And so water petrol powered ones. Spraying weeds with herbicides. The herbicide, the leaves absorb the chemical into the plant. Every leaf from every angle. I can't push this onto you enough, but I see so many weeds over, where I go out and the farm sprays one side of the gorse bush and the other side's still alive. That's not dead. All right, that's a complete and utter waste of time. You must go around every bush, every leaf from every angle until it is completely done. All right, I'm going to show you what it can be done. One thing I will say about knapsacks is always keep your filter clean, which is in the line. Because that reduces your pressure, and pressure helps you to kill weeds. That's the type of knapsack we use. If you're interested, it's in the Table Evolution. Find them really, really robust. They're great knapsacks. Always use the market eye.
We podcast in Gino.
So the old ones were.
Oh,
Great question. We used to use being there when I first got into spraying as a guy at school, and they were bloody awful. They stained everything. They had rhodamine dye in them, and they killed all the weed sprayers. They were terrible. So now the new products, I've got two of them there. Sunlight flow dye we use is non-toxic, and Hoiere dye SST is red. Both very good products, and they don't stain everything. So, any more questions on spray?
Yeah, is there a optimal time to do it in the morning, or obviously you don't do it when it's raining, but
Yes, we can kill weeds in the rain. We can
Yeah.
kill weeds in the frost.
Oh,
Yep, we can kill weeds anytime. We've proved that. Yeah, so if the water's running down the windscreen, it's too wet, drizzle's fine. Yeah, you actually get a better kill of drizzle than you do in a hot sunny day. Yeah, so many fallacies. Yeah, because you're increasing the water rate, the chemical's still going into the plant. All right. Yeah, as long as it's not running off. As soon as the water starts running down the windscreen,
spray it on.
go home and spray it off. That's gun spraying. Give you an idea. You can see how much pressure's going onto the plant. When you're gun spraying big bushes, you need a lot of pressure to push the chemical right into the inside of the plant. That's another thing people will do. They'll give it a bit of a sniff around the outside, and what'll happen is you brown all that outside off, and then it's still growing on the inside. So when it comes to spraying brush weeds like that, translocations and that, you've got to get every leaf from every angle. Hence you'll end up with, if you don't do it properly, a gorse bush growing on one side or a tree. And we do a lot of tree spraying now, but it's actually getting bigger and bigger for us. And it's spraying pine trees under power lines and that sort of thing. Yeah, so more and more of that work's becoming, trees becoming a real problem now. So. Basil bark, great technique. The diesel stinks, just be warned. I would recommend you wear a respirator, but yeah, it's a fantastic technique. So it's a chemical ring bark using either taught on a diesel or graze on a diesel. Probably recommend graze on a diesel for lots of yourselves. So you spray, if the trunk of the weed that you're spraying is this round, you treat that much of the trunk right around, twice the diameter of the drip. So you spray that graze on diesel wax just on the trunk, on the bark, and it'll actually go through the bark and kill the drip. Yeah, very, very good technique.
So you don't have to spray anything like
Don't touch the bark. All you got to do is spray. Yep, so and one of those knapsacks will do it. Yep, so you've got 4 litres of diesel and a litre of graze on it. Be warned, the diesel moves around a bit with the graze on it, and you can end up killing plants around it. And I have some great ones. I didn't kill them, I said with them. But they just dropped the diesel and they came right, so it wasn't the end of the world. But so the diesel penetrates through the bark, carrying the herbicide with it.
So that's predominantly a tree like that one, yeah.
It'll kill brooms, everything. Yep. It's really, really effective on climbers in your garden, but just be warned that you may get a bit of vapour moving around in it, and you can kill things that you didn't try to. Yeah, so that's something you have to be careful of. But it translocates into the tree via the cambium layer. So you're using the diesel as a penetrant to take the chemical through. So when you see I'll show you another photo in a minute, but when you see the guys out spraying wild pines and they're spraying the top of the pine tree, they're chemical ring barking, but they're spraying the top of the tree, and then that translocates the chemicals through the tree. So that's been the breakthrough for wild pine control.
Is there higher danger?
That's why it's fair bit. Yeah, it takes a lot to burn into. Yeah.
Can you brush it on rather than spraying it?
Yep, you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I will say is, I've done a bit of it, and on a really hot day, she's a bit stinky. You definitely need a respirator. The smell of diesel's like it's horrible, but it is quite oily on your gloves and that. It's got its downsides, but it's got a lot of upsides too. So, and we've killed a lot of willows using this technique. Yeah. So when you get to a big site, there's a lot of tall trees or vines. Consider cutting them down first. Yep. So it's like when a little guy fights a big guy, the best thing you can do is get him off his feet. Yeah. So get him down to where you can actually get at him. That's why tackling people is so effective, because you take a big issue and drop it down to a level where it's a lot easier to control. We've done quite a bit. We've gone into blocks and we've actually felled all the willows first and then waited till the following season and then just sprayed the regrowth. You don't need to use as much chemical from a environmental point of view. Yeah, so it can be a great way. So same with if you go to an area that's full of old beans beard, all the vines are going way up the tree, go through and just smack all the vines off for a start. So you take all that canopy out, kill all the vines, and then come back the next year and spray the regrowth. Yeah, it's less chemical required. It's a very, very good technique. Choosing a herbicide, get a recommendation from a contractor that kills weeds for a living, not the shop that sells you the product. Right? Yeah, we do it for a living. That's what that's our whole life. So yeah, that's where you learn what to use. Don't trust the herbicide label. Use it as a guide. Trust me, go. 12 things for yourself. And buy the best herbicide you can afford. It's like coffee. If you buy junk, it is junk. Yeah, so if you can buy quality, let's buy quality. You never regret buying quality when it comes to herbicides. All right.
I have some herbicides which have used by dates on them years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And they still seem to be working fine. Is there any reality to those used by dates, or are they just from people to throw them away by another one?
Yeah, so it's
No comment.
oh look, if you went back and they worked, they're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
It's requirement under the government legislation that they have to have an expiry date on them, but most of them you'll find if you shake a can, they'll work fine.
Yeah.
I tried an organic one once. It was white vinegar with salt.
Yeah, there you go.
About a quarter of these, and a thing of white vinegar was like 2 times the price of a thing of brown.
So you prove that it
No,
doesn't work.
it was
Yeah. So you went back a lot of it. So don't do it again. So you learn from that one.
Yes.
Like if there was organic products that work, I'd be the first one to use it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we used one down the south once, and it made, as weeds grows, it made us all feel sick, and it didn't do a good job. So that's not really an answer, is it? So, so when it comes to selectivity, you understand some herbicides are selective to some things. So Tauron Brush Killer XT is grass friendly, but it kills the green gorse, a lot of trees, etc., etc. Just be aware if you Tauron Brush Killer XT is the world's best lawn sprayer. Absolutely unbelievable. It'll take all the weeds out of your lawn, but don't put it underneath trees.
Yeah.
You learned that one. The reason being that they will suck
My husband.
there's 3 actives in it, and they'll suck 2 of the actives up through the roots, and it'll kill the tree.
Don't put your lawn clippings under the tree. Is that what you're saying?
If you, yes, I wouldn't. Yeah.
No.
But so that I won't get into too much complication, but there's 3 actives in there. 2 of them are quite soil active. Yeah, and that's what makes it such a good product. And that's what you've got to be careful of under your trees. If you take grass that you've sprayed with Tauron and put it under the trees, potentially they could end up with that aminopyridine and pickerine getting sucked up through them. So yeah, and there's nothing worse than fruit trees going around.
You wouldn't want to prove that.
What would you recommend for bamboo?
Yeah, bamboo, there's 2 products that will kill bamboo, and interestingly enough, this Blend Ultra, which I'll tell you. So I use Blend Ultra for release spraying natives.
Yeah.
The reason being that it only kills grass.
Right.
So you can go through and put a nice native planting in,
Yeah.
and the grass is encroaching and all that.
Yeah.
You can actually spray right over the top of the natives and it'll only kill grass. So it won't kill sedges, it won't kill rushes, right? It only kill grass. Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing product. So it's purely selective to, it only kills grass, it's selective to.
Is that the one that costs $1,200 a
The
litre?
downside is it's when it's $1,200 for 5 litres.
How much?
Well, 1,200 there. Yeah.
So is that the one you're recommending for bamboo, is it?
Yes.
That's an
Yeah,
expensive
flat
bamboo.
bamboo. If you know a weed control contractor, you can normally get a bit of galant decanted out of a can shed.
Right. So is that like, I know one. Do you have to do with it?
Yes, so you're only,
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
you
more than just one.
so you're only using 12 mils per nectar.
Right.
Yeah, but you can only get a
Yeah.
5 litre can, cost
Oh.
$500.
Right.
So, all right, so but yeah,
So is that
absolutely
what
amazing
you
product. But yeah, big Hoiere establishment, amazing programs.
Yeah.
You can put anybody on an APSAC and get them to release natives, and they can't do anything but kill grass. Yeah, so they can spray all day, doesn't matter if it's windy, only kills grass.
Yeah. And Pampers?
Hey?
Pampers?
Yes. Yep. So the rate for Pampers is 30 mils per 10, not the 12 mils I recommend for release spray. And it'll flatten Pampers. Yeah. it's actually very good. And if your pampas is in amongst natives, you can actually go through and take pampas out without touching the natives.
Okay.
Absolutely incredible chemistry.
If you have canvas, which is pretty big, do you have to cut it first, or do you just douse it all over?
Yep,
Or-
yeah, as long as you can kill it with either glyphosate or gallent, but you have to spray the whole bush. Yeah. So, but you could, as I explained to you, you could go through and cut it off and then spray the regrowth when it comes up.
Okay.
Right, so if you're spraying bamboo,
Yeah, that's right.
who would get the if you just spray every single day, like is it
Yes, yep. But now you've learned, you go through and cut the bamboo to ground level.
yeah, and then
Wait for it to
spray
finish up.
right.
And that way you're making the job a lot easier on yourself.
It has to regrow before you spray?
Yes. Yeah, so I'd probably wait 12 months. And let the regrowth get to sort of knee height.
Okay.
So not to wait that long for that.
And that's some
So I can't spray it at the time when I cut it.
you can do, yeah, if you want to. There's no reason why you can't. But when you start mixing jobs, it becomes more complicated.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
What sort of
so-
thing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I try and make things easy for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
Go
it's
through,
only
cut
one
it down, go and do something else, then come back and spray the regrowth on. So it's,
okay.
getting better. Yeah.
Understood.
But you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I sort of recommend it.
Yeah.
It just breaks the jobs up. So when jobs become too big, they get too daunting. So
Yes.
it's just a way of making it manageable. So I'll just mention Grazon. So I talked about the Grazon and diesel as a chemical ring bark. Grazon's another fantastic lawn spray. It only kills broadleaf weeds. It won't kill your grass. Grazon you can use under your trees. Right, I'll prove that. So it doesn't have the two components that are in Tordol. It only has one of them, and it's only the foliar absorb one. And once it hits the soil, it's inert. So you can spray on right underneath your trees and you won't kill your trees. Right. Yeah, because they won't absorb it through the roots. Slightly complicated, but got it? Yeah. Right. There's a lot to take it. Great time to bring this one up. So we sprayed all the gorse just down the road here with the handgun for dock, where the campground is. Yeah, and you probably some of you from our local walk through it. The Queen Charlotte track comes through it. The link pathway comes through it. You did a planting there about 3 months later. And I think I brought up at one of the meetings that shows this a good idea. The only things that were affected was the kowai, which really surprised me. I thought it would have knocked over a lot of those natives. But Andrew and I was always debating, could you go in and plant after an area's been treated with Tordon? It actually looks like you can, because you're digging the ground open and putting the seedling right, its roots right down underneath. It can obviously handle a little bit of Tordon, but yeah. And the kowais look like they're all dead, but all the others were fine. So that's a real breakthrough, really. We've never really been able to prove it, and that planting proved it. So, well, the other side of that is we killed all the gorse, so there's no competition. Yeah. When a native's competing against all the weeds, it really struggles. But if you take all the competition away, it makes a big difference.
So when you're spot spraying, generally using glyphosate, how long should you leave it before you plant natives?
If you've pre-plant sprayed with glyphosate,
Yeah.
yeah, in theory you can plant as soon as it's dry.
Really?
Yep.
I thought it was like 6 weeks.
Yeah, so glyphosate once it hits the soil is inert, so you could basically plant straight into your spot spray. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. In theory, you can. Yeah, so but I'd always sort of say after a rain, yeah, and you can actually plant the plant in there, and then the glyphosate will do its work and kill it, kill the grass around it. But it all depends on the situation. Yeah. The other thing I'd say is if you've got Manuka and Karnika growing it amongst gorse, if you're a clever operator, you can actually spray Tordon and release the Manuka and Karnika without touching them. Yeah. As long as they'll handle a little bit on foliage, you'll just burn a little bit off, but as long as you don't go over the top, you can actually kill the gorse around it. Once you sort of got a bit of a feel for it.
So Manuka overcome the gorse eventually.
Love it. It will, but it's a lot slower than taking the course right now in this situation. It helps to deliver the herbicide into the plant. So organosilicons, they help with chemical to spread. They flood the stomata, and then the chemical gets taken in through the stomata, the breathing pores of the leaf. Crop oils are different, and we use one called punch quite a lot. They're a canola-based product that's modified, and they burn through the waxy cuticle of the leaves. There are two different types of entries that when you hear me talk about. So that's your boost, your pulse, or your slicker, and your crop oils are the likes of uptake crop oil, which stinks, and I wouldn't even use it. It works really well, but it's hideous. Right for boom spray. But there's punch and peat oil is quite a few.
So the diesel would be the same on that category there?
Yeah, so diesel's a green braking engine.
Yeah.
Agrochemical labels, won't get into it too much. Everything you really need to know is on there. But like I say, don't hesitate to experiment. They're not perfect. There's not a lot of money in weed spraying, so the labels are, there's not a lot of money going into research for some of them. So some of them have got claims on them that I just don't get. But,
What does non-residual mean?
Non-residual means that you can spray it, and there won't be a residual sitting in the soil that gets sucked up through the roots. Like I said with Toro.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, as soon as it hits the ground, it's a new.
Okay.
Yeah, that won't work. Yes. And interestingly enough, if you use dirty water with Roundup, it won't work either. And it's because the Roundup molecule, the glyphosate molecule, binds to the silt and it stops it working. Can't be taken in by the plant. Yeah, so that's why they say they use dirty water. Protective clothing. I actually use these a lot. They cost about $6. Great gloves, got grip on them.
What's the name?
If you go to Protect Your Safety, they're actually crayfishing gloves. Yeah, they're just a rubber glove, but they're about $6 a pair.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll see them on the shelf there. They're very, very good for mixing chemicals and things.
Mm.
I use those for mixing herbicides and gun spraying. Nitrile gloves or leather gloves are really good for spray. At least you've got something on. Disposable respirators. I've only got one left, but these can actually be very useful. A P2 respirator. Yeah, and you don't just throw it away every time you use it. You get a few days into it if you're tired with it. And the biggest thing when you're spraying is to carry soap and water in the hands. You always wash your hands. That's where you take chemical into your body. That's when you start eating the chemical on your hands. So controlling weeds on that Weed Busters website. There's a whole heap of information on that. Look at it in your leisure. Right, what can you tell me about that weed?
It's not big enough.
Yeah, it's not half dead. It's either alive or dead. Yeah, that is not dead. And I get that all the time. I go to farmers and I walk through their faces and they say, "Oh, we sprayed all this last year." And I go, "Why do you waste your money like that?" Yeah, like you haven't killed anything. And they go, "Oh, we sprayed it. It doesn't mean it's dead, does it?" Dead is dead. Dead is not growing anymore. All right. So when we go out to kill weeds, we kill every weed properly. If you don't use the right chemical or you don't put enough on it, that's what you get with all weeds. This was on my work one day.
It's dead.
Yeah, it said, they actually killed the weed, but they actually killed everything else around it. Yeah,
That's
so,
forward. So.
that's right. That ground's been dead for a long time. Yeah, that's the wrong chemical. Yeah, so it's all about using the right chemical for the situation you want. As you can see, there was no selectivity there, and there's no pasture there. You can imagine what that would do in your garden. All right.
What might they use there?
Probably something like tag, 2-methylazine, which has a very residual, kills everything. Yeah, so I was picking that's probably what they've used. So, so just
It stays in the ground for like 6 months or a year.
Look, if he's put it on heavy enough, it might grow nothing for 2 years. There used to be a product on the market called, I think it was Eucalyptus, and that's about 10 years. The crowbar will make a good 3-4 years of death, of nothing growing. Yeah.
So there's obviously residual there, sorry.
Yeah,
There is.
So that residual sitting there, it's killing any seed that strikes.
Yeah.
So good for a driveway or something. But
Very good for driveways. So your Tag G2 is a great product for driveways. You can get a good 2 years of death out of it. But just be careful that it leaches. Yeah, so you can spray it on a driveway, and I did it down south, and then it leached off and killed the bull. Yeah, so and there's sometimes you have to be a bit careful. So I talked before about wild pine work. So we set up the system at Mulberry Helicopters, and we use the existing tank, and we set it up to deliver the chemical through a wand, and we were mixing Grazon and jet fuel, kerosene together, and spraying the pine trees. So that's the way of killing trees. It's an informal life. And you understand boom spraying? Yeah, so that's a completely different concept again. So it's all about the volume of chemical you put on the plant. So a helicopter will put on, for broom and gorse, 400 litres of water to the hectare, which works out at 40 mils per square metre of the spray mix. That's why the chemical won't get the kill of if you're spraying every leaf from every angle. We're probably putting on 1,000 to 2,000 litres of spray mix to the hectare, whereas they're putting on 400. And that's why you get such a different result. It's all about the amount of chemistry put on the plant. Throws the chemical out the back in a uniform droplet, so it doesn't, you don't get the drift, the big plumes you used to see around the helicopters in the old days. We've moved on a lot with the gear we've got now for spraying. Right, I'll get into some local weeds for you. Bottles, you got a real problem here. They will not get better if you do nothing. Right, they'll only get worse. So there's a number of ways you can control it. Frilling works really well on, interestingly enough. There's a massive problem here in Picton. They're a terrible thing in terms of asthma for people because of the pollen. Because like this, it's causing major problems in Picton. Australian, yeah. So they're in the acacia family.
Good file.
There's one good thing about it, good fire. Yeah. Personally, I like to see them all dead. They're really susceptible to Roundup, interestingly enough, and Fordon kills them too. So yeah, we've got techniques to deal to them now. So just not enough money to take the problem on. Pampas grass I talked about, galanth or glyphosate. If you're using glyphosate, you've got to use twice label rate to drop and drop, which is instead of 100 mils or 360, which I'll talk about in a minute, it's 200 mils. So twice label rate. Every day from every angle, you'll kill every plant. Yeah,
Going up the bottoms.
Yep, go straight underneath there and cut all the stems at ground level. Yep, and you'll kill the bulk of that before you get down to a individual plant level. So
my recommendation is also to cut them at head level and ground level.
Yeah,
because then you can see which ones you've cut.
Yeah.
If you cut them at ground level, you'll go and cut them again without realising it 6 months later. Whereas if you cut them at head level, it's bloody obvious that they're dead.
Yeah.
And as well as ground level.
Yeah. We've done that technique to them, and it is very good. So, yeah. Right. Interestingly enough, met sulfur is actually the best. Mets like Boomer and Associate and all those is the best chemical you can use for old man seed.
Is there a spray on it?
Yeah, it's a spray. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just asking with the old man beard. So you cut the plant at the base, and then what do you spray? Do you spray when it comes out the spray? You don't spray the vines that are already off the trees.
No, you spray the stump.
Just
the stump. Yeah. What gel on the stump?
Once it has the new green growth.
Yeah. So if you're doing it on a big scope, I would not even bother spraying. I just go through and cut the whole lot, and then go back and treat it. Individual plants, you could take time and spray that stuff.
So if it would go into contact with if it's, let's say it's overgrowing a deciduous tree, it would kill the tree. If you spray it on.
Yeah, if you use Roundup at one, if you use a strong concentration of Roundup, you can work underneath trees. Yeah, if you have to be careful putting sword on underneath that tree, you might look after like a fruit tree or something. So just depends on the situation.
So how strong is the Roundup?
I use Roundup 50-50 a lot. Yes, so 50%. Yeah, 50% Roundup, 50% water. put 20 mils of the likes of slicker, the organosilicate with it as well. Yeah. 20 mils per 10 minutes. And so sycamore, you've got one of the evil trees in the district. There's a whole band on the hill up there. That thing is a terribly prolific seeder, and that's going to cause us a lot of problems. Everyone's going on about wilding pines. These things are shade tolerant. They produce thousands of seeds. They will only get to become a worse problem. They've got some value as a timber, but it's killable. And it's a pretty fast grower. And the really scary thing about this is how shade tolerant it is. It'll come right up and almost canopy native bush, and it'll actually push up. So
how's the best way to kill them? Because they
you can either frill them, cut them down and paint the stump. Basil bark works well. Yeah, there's techniques for doing it. So you know that one? Yeah, there's a real problem around here. So you can actually spray that with graze on. Yeah, and it's very, very effective on it. All right. And so we've proved it too. So just one I'll bring up. You know this one? This one's on your hill here, tell you this strawberry dogwood, and it's in the I'm just trying to think of the family, it's in Cornus, is it? That's quite a problem on this hill here too, and it will take over too. There's a hell of a lot of strawberry dogwood. Yeah, there's a lot of it around the corner. On those sort of properties, sort of as you swing around getting towards Canvaston. Yeah, it has a prolific white flower which turns into that monster, and it was planted in places because people thought that birds had eaten strawberries, and I've never seen a bird in one of them yet. So, but they spread beautifully around the place. So I think that's Cornus capitata, that one. So it's another one that needs to be dealt with if we come across it.
That fruit is not edible for humans.
Don't think so. Yeah. I've never seen kids hanging around the bushes eating. But,
and how to kill it?
Same as the sycamore. Frilling, can't stump all your basil bark or flatten them. So, yeah.
Like if you make a start, you've done more than the person that did nothing before you. So yeah, and as you're
and
going,
you can do patches, right?
You do patches. Yeah.
It's not like you have to kill it all.
Yeah,
in
you
one
don't have
go.
to kill it all at once.
No.
Yeah, that's
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
exactly. Yeah.